Well, I kind of feel like I should have made a tinfoil hat for this video, to be honest. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video we're going to be bringing back a single book review style video. Done a couple of them, but it is something I want to ramp up quite a bit on the channel. I've got a couple kind of slated for the near future and whatnot, but for today's video we got Means of Control, How the Hidden Alliance of Tech and Government is Creating a New American Surveillance State. This is by Byron, and Crown Publishing was kind enough to send me a review copy, so thank you so much to them for that. And part of the reason I accepted the review here was I'm not super savvy in the realm of, you know, big tech and big data, big brother, all that kind of stuff kind of going on. And, you know, like me and my friends, and I think a lot of people kind of joke about how, you know, the commercials and the advertisements, like when you're online and stuff, you know, following you around and everything like that. And we all know it's kind of true, but I didn't really realize, like, you know, how true that was. But let me just tell you, after reading this book, I'd say about 90-ish% of like the rumors and things you kind of hear about that we all like kind of talk about in that regard are pretty much true. But then there's also 100 things you don't know that is also true going on behind the scenes. You know, it's like the things you know, the things you don't know, and then there's a ton of stuff you don't even know you don't know. So yeah, this book definitely opened my eyes to a lot of that kind of thing. Like I said, just because I'm not super into that, like kind of like, you know, the behind the scenes big data sort of stuff going on. But yeah, so let's just get into the actual like review here of the book. I'm gonna start with, you know, I always start with the positives and stuff. Just partly being like, you know, it's a journalistic book. The author does a really good job laying out how he did like these interviews after he came up with the idea after some conversations with some like bigwig tech people and stuff, and realized, you know, there's a story here, and kind of how he followed it along for several years and whatnot. So I kind of appreciated that. He's got really good resources and notes at the back of the book, a nice index, but also probably the thing that was probably the most helpful for me here was he has like a dictionary of key concepts and definitions here. And just because dealing with a lot of tech stuff, you know, there is some sort of technical sort of things kind of going on, and also there is sort of it just kind of comes with the territory, some alphabet soup, dealing with tons of different like government agencies, different tech terms and stuff that are always like abbreviated with initials and stuff. But just for example, here's like the first couple entries on, you know, his like little dictionary at the back. You know, ad exchanges, how that kind of like works. He's got a big definition for that. RTBs, which is real-time bidding, kind of explaining that. SDKs, which are software development kits, what that is. Types of different kinds of location data, and he has almost like a whole page on that explaining the different versions of that. So like I said, he's got really good like nonfiction credentials, I feel like. Not that journalism isn't nonfiction. I'm just not used to, I guess, a lot of like kind of the contemporary political, that kind of stuff for journalism, even though I know that's kind of like the main thrust of journalism, like writers and things. Pretty much all the journalism I read is either nature or like environmental like kind of writing, so it's a little bit different because you're talking to researchers and scientists and stuff, whereas here a lot of the people he's talking to or interviewing, things like that, a lot of times they have to be held in confidence and stuff. So he kind of explains, you know, the kind of, you know, ethics for journalism and everything like that. And, you know, you can't always reveal all your information from, or I guess the source of your information and stuff. So like I said, it's a little bit different for me, but I think that just kind of comes with the territory. Now, I feel like I learned a ton. Like, I just learned tons and tons and tons. Probably the biggest takeaway for me here is apps. And you know, we got tons of apps on our phones and stuff, but basically it kind of almost boils down to if your app is free, you know, they're not doing it for free. So how are they making money? Well, 9 times out of 10, they're probably like gathering your information through different means, which you'll learn about, and selling it to another company. Either something like directly to an agency or some other company that's kind of just like an aggregate collecting data and stuff. So yeah, I felt that was kind of interesting. And the other big takeaway that he definitely points out several times throughout the book is, even though a lot of times, you know, a lot of these companies claim that your data is anonymous and that sort of thing, and it's, you know, part of the big like crowdsourced material, all that kind of stuff. The problem is when they parse it out, you know, like he points out, if your little data point, right, that's attached to your cell phone is always at a certain location at night, there's a pretty good chance that's like, you know, your residence where you're sleeping and stuff, and it won't take that, you know, it's only going to take 2 and 2 to put together, you know, who's actually like living at that residence and stuff. So even though it's anonymous, it's not really super difficult for them to figure things out if they really, really want to. Another takeaway that I found interesting was how slow the military, like the American military, was into like realizing how I guess efficient the big data stuff actually could be. They didn't really take it seriously until a couple things like almost got compromised because people were just figuring it out on their own, kind of behind the scenes and doing like other stuff. But of course, like, you know, once they start like, you know, putting their little fingers in the pot and stuff, it doesn't stop. It never seems to. Nothing ever seems to stop basically when the government gets involved with like big data. It just seems like there's like a little tacit sort of, you know, we're going to try this and that or whatever, and then it blows up into this huge thing. And in a way, at the beginning, there was a little bit of pushback, but at this point, it almost seems like it's gone like kind of into the ether a little bit. It's just part of like, you know, just like out there, and no one really cares anymore. And because that, you know, a lot of companies, a lot of government agencies and stuff can get away with it. But essentially, it does seem to have like a trickle-down effect where, you know, at the top levels, you know, like super high like level government agencies, they're pretty like strict with how they use it and this and that, everything. But as soon as like other agencies start using it, you know, some of the parameters and kind of protocols get loosened a little bit, then state agencies kind of, you know, put up some slack, or I guess release some slack as well. And then you get down to even things like just like local police departments, which he kind of points out sometimes kind of break the rules a little bit because there's so little oversight with somehow this big data is used and whatnot. So like I said, all kinds of stuff. You're going to learn tons of the, like I said, behind the scenes, everything. One thing that I was kind of like in the middle of the road about was he does profile a lot of people, a lot of the actual, I guess, like software engineers and stuff dealing with this, are developing apps or developing codes and programs, I guess, to like kind of parse the data, gather it, all that kind of stuff. But he kind of, I think it was good to include them, but he does seem to include a lot of the backstories on like a lot of them. And it felt a little weird that, you know, I didn't need like 10 pages of kind of like this guy's like life history, like leading up to it. I don't know. And in a couple cases it made sense because there was like axes to grind, and how like, especially during like the 90s and early mid 2000s and stuff, it was kind of a pretty like tight-knit, maybe not tight-knit isn't like the right word, but there wasn't tons. It was a pretty small pond as far as like big data and stuff at the time, just because everything was a little bit of a new frontier. So a lot of them like happened to know each other and stuff, but a lot of the times it just felt weird like reading about everyone's like backstories and stuff. But anyways, that's about the only criticism I really have as far as like the writing style. It is, like I said, there is a little bit of alphabet soup going on, but that's, I mean, you're dealing with text, so I feel like that kind of just like sort of comes with the territory. But other than that, like I said, it's a pretty good book. You're gonna learn a lot. I will say, you definitely feel kind of nihilistic like reading it. He does try to offer like some tips on how to be a little bit more safe and anonymous, like when browsing online and stuff. But even the author admits sort of ultimately, there's only really so much you can do on like a regular person's budget and stuff. Like there's literal companies that like millionaires kind of go to try to like deal with, like to get like special phones and special software to try to like remain kind of more anonymous and gray like out on the internet and stuff. But yeah, for most people it's just, there's some like kind of like, you know, basic first aid tips at the back of the book, but it doesn't really seem like it's gonna amount to like a whole lot. So like I said, you definitely get kind of this like just like I said, this kind of more just like existential dread that, you know, like it could be theoretically used, but there's nothing really we can do about it unless we like just stop using the internet, which really just isn't practical at this point in this day and age. So yeah, like I said, you'll learn a lot. You might not feel great learning a lot, but it feels good to at least confirm a lot of the suspicions. And then like I said, at least like now, instead of 90% of the things now are things I didn't even know I didn't know, it made it tick to like 85% now instead of 90 or something like that. But I'm pleased I read it. It's kind of fun talking to people about it now. I think if you enjoy tech, if you enjoy concepts like Big Brother and you want to feel validated and stuff, definitely check out this book. Like I said, as far as like the writing and stuff goes, like I said, very little I would complain about and stuff. Especially for, like I said, like kind of a new kind of subgenre of journalism that I'm not like fully used to and stuff. I feel like Byron did a really good job, and I'll be on the lookout for his stuff in the future as well. So there you have it. That was Means of Control. Let me know what you think of something like this, or if you've read any kind of good, I guess, modern journalism type books. I guess I'm gonna, like I said, I'm starting to branch out into new genres and subgenres of nonfiction. So let me know down below what your favorite kind of journalism style book is, and whether you're reading. So say Big Brother's probably watching you read or not. It didn't even make sense. But anyways, whatever you end up reading, read victoriously.